start making a car body for racing, I first look for a car that I like and has potential to be raced. In this case I chose the Koenigsegg Agera. Next is to check if anyone has made a 3D model of this that can be used as a base. Here I have found one by a talented 3D designer that would do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So we would download and use this. Using Blender, we can start a new project, delete the default cube, and then import the model. When it is imported, it might not be at the origin, so we will move it to the origin as it will make it easier for us. A car needs symmetry and we only want to be editing one side. So add a mirror modifier to the model and ensure clipping is on. Now we will add back in a cube and scale it to completely cover the model. Now put the cube in edit mode, then Ctrl and R for a loop cut in the middle. Select the vertices on the end and delete them. This leaves you with a half cube with an open face. So select the 4 vertices on the open side, then press F to create a face. Now you should see the model is half inside what remains of the cube. Back in object mode, select the car and again go to add modifier. This time use the boolean with a type of difference, click in the field for object and then select the cube. Expand the options and select self intersection, then apply the modifier. After this you can delete the cube, leaving just the car. Selecting the car and putting it in edit mode, you should see just one side of the car has a mesh and the other side is a mirror image. You can see this is currently a solid model, and now we should start removing parts to leave us with the shell that we need. To do this, you can flip between face and vertex mode to delete the parts you want removed. Keep moving and rotating the model to select just what you want to remove and not anything extra by mistake. If you do make a mistake, just press Ctrl and Z to undo and then try again. In this case, I will later add an interior, so I will also delete the windows on the model. Here we can see this has left the frame a little bit thin at one point, so we can select a good edge, split it, and then select the vertices to add a small face back for extra thickness. Now we have a pretty good shell, but it is just a shell. It needs some thickness added to make it usable. So now add another modifier, this time using solidify. I find a thickness of 0.15 works well, but you may need to experiment on what works well for you. Using it, you can see this does result in some artifacts. You can see some here, and the mirror also has an added halo. As long as these are minor, we can apply the modifier, then fix most of these later. Now in edit mode we can start to fix them, starting with the mirror. Again, keep moving the model, selecting just what you need to delete and keep checking. Quite quickly, our mirror is back to normal, and of course we only need to fix one side as it is mirrored. Other areas of the body, you may just want to move the artifacts below the top surface of the model, as deleting these may put holes in the body shell. So select a few similar points at a time, press G to grab them, and then here we press Z to lock the vertical movement, and then move them under the model surface. The underside can look a bit messy. It is the outside that we want to make smooth. Just keep repeating, and again it does not take long to clean up the body. Depending on the area you are adjusting, press the X, Y or Z keys with the grab to lock the movement onto a particular axis. Starting to look good, so we can now switch on the view face orientation. This will help us to see the inside faces that are visible on the outside. These would result in print errors or defects in the print. Here on the wheel arch we can see an area to fix, so edit mode, select the vertices outside, G to grab, X to lock the X axis, then move into the body. Work around and clean up. It does not need to be perfect, but you can in a relatively short time get a presentable model. When you are happy, then it is time to smooth this out a bit, ready for print. Add modifier, this time subdivision surface. Here I am leaving it as a default 2 levels, then export as an STL file. Save your project. And then we can start a new project and import the STL file. Now when you put it into edit mode, you can see you have a more complex mesh that looks pretty good. To use this for racing, we need a way to attach the internals to the body. I use a chassis type that is best attached to the sides of the body. So add a new cube, and scale it on the Z axis to get the thickness I want. Scale again on the Y axis to the length required. Then G to grab and move into the correct position. Now V from underneath, we can move this through the side of the car, making sure it goes all the way through while leaving enough inside as a mounting point. Now back to the car body, add a modifier as boolean, type as difference, and object being the cube. If you apply this now, you would have to repeat the same for the other side. So instead, Add modifier, this time mirror, but do not select the clipping. Then drag the mirror modifier to be above the boolean. Now apply the boolean. Back to the car model in edit mode, you can see this cube is now a part of it. Select the 4 corner vertices that are outside the car body and delete them. Back to object mode, you can now select the cube and delete it. What you are left with is the body shell and 2 mounting points that perfectly join the body. You can now export this as an STL file ready for printing. My resin printer uses Chitubox, so open the application and then the file for printing. And here I have made a mistake on the scale, which I can fix later in Blender, but for now we can just increase the scale in Chitubox. Now rotate for printing. I print as vertical as this helps minimize any layer lines and has fewer supports. It does take longer to print this way. When you slice it, you should do a preview and check the walls of the model have nice thick solid lines. Too thin and it will lack strength, too thick and it will be too heavy. You want a Goldilocks just right line. And here it is off the printer, just supports removed, washed and cured. At this point you can see there is not too much cleanup required. I hope you have found this helpful. Have fun trying and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Cheers!